guys, this is Tyanitis, and today I'm going to show you a deck I like to call Enter the Dragon. It's basically a little modification of the Three Sages deck. We've taken that third sage and replaced it with one of the cards that I feel is the most powerful right now, and that is the Dragon of Wisdom card. It's not really geared towards taking out your opponent's health or morale. It can do either or, but it's really, you're going to have to play the match and see how it progresses to see which route you're going to want to take. The reason I bring in the dragon is because it has a lot of perks on it that just make it really powerful. Like I said, it does have 15 attack and 15 defense, which is huge. Flying and unstoppable are a good combination. You can draw 2 cards at the beginning of every turn it's deployed, and you can never get hit with a morale bomb from it because it doesn't die. Instead of dying and going to the graveyard, it just goes into your support zone and isn't exhausted for 3 turns, which is a huge ability. So, alright, we're going to go ahead and we'll lead off with our Invincible Defender. With having the Sage 1 and the Sage 2, you're going to see a whole heck of a lot of 1-turn buff, 1-turn attack. That's one of the staples of this particular deck. Go ahead, block. And as you can see, he also has a Sage 1 up there for buffing, so I want to put the pressure on him to use that buff, and essentially we're going to be wasting each other's resources, but if I can catch him, I would like to get rid of that Sage 1, so I'll go ahead and attack it right now. Go ahead and buff this round since I just hurt myself. And then I'm going to throw out my 2 Wealthy Nobles here. And what I'm going to do is, he's more than likely, I'm guessing, is he's going to buff this round. And there he goes. But now it's going to be exhausted. So what I'm going to do is play my buff here on my Sage 2, which will take away 2 damage, which will take 2 damage to him, and then I'm also going to play a Sage 2 spell card. Now, this will get rid of his last 2 commanders, but it's going to be at the expense of my 2 Wealthy Nobles, but I do feel it is a, well, more than worth it trade, so we're going to go ahead and go that route. Here it comes. There they go. Now what he just did, he just assassinated my Dragon of Wisdom, but like I said, because he cannot go to the graveyard, he cannot be killed, he'll just go right into my support zone and be exhausted. And while he's exhausted, that 2 extra cards you get to draw per turn is in effect, so this whole time I'll be getting 2 more cards, all without taking a hit to my morale. Very big deal. Gonna go ahead, buff. And I'm going to start bringing out my Glorious Warrior because he's going to start chipping away at the morale. I've done some damage to the morale, so I'm just going to go ahead and start heading that route. I'm starting to take a lot of damage, especially after this round if he brings his cards into the assault zone. Not a big deal. You'll find yourself sometimes low on health in this deck, but once again, it's not a big deal. Once the deck gets going, it's like a wall. It'll be hard to get through. He just stumbled my dragon back into 12 to stop me from getting those 2 extra cards. It was actually a pretty decent move. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attack. Pull out my card out here so it can start doing damage and taking morale away. And since I'm going to go ahead and be attacking, with that 2 damage, I'll bring out a general, so it'll actually make that damage only hit for 1 and save some damage on my 2 remaining commanders. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and buff. I just pulled a Sage 1 buff card, so I'll buff again. And I actually have a Sage 2 spell card, so I'm going to go ahead and attack him again. Once again, I'm going to be hitting him, taking out all these cards, hurting that morale. More morale right here with my Glorious Warrior, and I'll bring up my Rallying General here to do some health damage. He's going to stumble my Glorious Warrior. That was a good move. Comes the double buff and the attack. I'm sitting at 10 health. I need 12 to get out my dragon, and I'm sitting alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pay 9 to increase my resources here, and I'm just going to keep attacking actually. He's going to use Burning Prejudice. At this point I'm going to go ahead, put off buying that extra resource. I'll buff to bring me up to 5. And then I'm going to bring out my Glorious Warrior again. Actually, another one, so I can really start hitting on that morale for a turn once they get on the battlefield. Go ahead and put those out there to do even more damage to the morale by hitting and taking away his guys. And I'm going to play, he's got a flying card up there which I won't be able to hit, so I need to get rid of that. And he also has this card which is going to start repairing his fortress. Not really a big threat because I'm not going the health route, but I'm still going to go ahead and attack with the Winds of Fire to take out all of his cards. And since I'm doing that, I'm going to bring my warriors back over this way. And I have a Rallying General here. I'll bring him out to save damage on all my cards that are brought out from the Winds of War. Everything's going pretty good right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and buy that extra resource. I'm not in a hurry to get guys out. I'll use the last 2 to buff up my Invincible Defender, and I'll bring one of my guys over just to hit him for a little bit more morale by taking out his defender. He's going to use a Burning Prejudice, which is actually a good move here because it's going to take both my cards out. But what it actually did is just put them back in my hand. So what I'm going to do, we'll go ahead, play the dragon, and I'll go ahead and bring these out to block. Now I know the dragon hasn't gotten a lot of action this game. That can happen sometimes, but just when he was originally brought into that support zone, all those cards that I got for every round of him being in there helped out. So even if you don't get him out there and do some damage or do some defense, just having him in that support zone is a big, big deal. And you can see there it goes. Got 2 extra cards in the round, so it's a total of 3 cards per round. Gonna go ahead, bring him out. And he's only got 6 morale left. I'll go ahead and bring my dragon over to defend. I'll bring this card out. It doesn't really matter at this point. And I'm just going to end it, so I'm going to go ahead. Attack with a Sage 2. Assassinate. And that should be the end of the game right there. will say this, if you are ever playing against a deck that does use the Dragon of Wisdom, the only way that I am currently aware of... Oh, we used a Burning Prejudice. It's not going to matter. But the only way to get rid of the Burning Dragon, to kill it, to actually kill it, is to use Calamity while it's been drawn either in the commander or support zone, what have you, as the only way to actually get rid of it once it's been brought out. He has 1 morale left. I'm just going to go ahead, assassinate his 1 card that's left, and that should take care of the last morale. And there's the victory. Well guys, that was my Enter the Dragon deck. I know it may not have been as proficient as the Morale Bomb Sage 3 Sage deck, but it's a little bit more fun in my opinion, and that card, as I said, is one of the more powerful cards out, so it's a lot of fun to have it, to use it, and to see how your opponents react to it. So I hope you enjoyed this deck.